It's a little dangerous out there on social media when the old mock comes out.
Well, I mean, I know how much you love doing mock drafts. It's one of the things that you dream about, coming up with a bunch of different ways to kind of create conversation. So we should have plenty of conversation based on some of the little nuggets that you put in your mock this week.
Well, listen, I love it. I know everybody out there loves it too. So let's get into it. Here we go. Drum roll. We got picks 1 through 8. No trades here. And the Dolphins go Justin Herbert over Tua, who goes to the Chargers. We're going to get to that in a second. But DJ, is there any reason at this point that the #1 overall pick will not be Joe Burrow to the Bengals? And is he truly the right guy?
I think he's going to be the #1 pick, and I would say it's highly likely it will be the Cincinnati Bengals making that selection. The only other thing I could see happening is a team at 5, 6, or 7 when you're looking at the Dolphins, the Chargers, or the Panthers trying to get up to the first pick. But I just don't see that happening, Buck. I think when it's all said and done, the Cincinnati Bengals make the conservative decision. They take the best quarterback in their opinion, which I believe is Joe Burrow, with the #1 pick, and off they go.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy for them. I think they get an opportunity to get a guy who is an Ohio native, hometown hero, bring him back into the fold. The franchise needs some energy, some juice. Well, we saw the juice that Joe Burrow provided to LSU on the way to winning a national title. I think he gives them that and more. Franchise quarterback playing near his hometown. I think this works in a bunch of different ways for the Cincinnati Bengals.
This just seems so perfect. As Bucky said, it's a homecoming. He's an Ohio guy. He has Skyline Chili hot takes. It just makes sense. But, Bucky, I want you to go down to the #4 pick here, the Giants, selecting Tristan Wirfs over Mekhi Becton and Jedrick Wills. How do you feel about that?
I like this pick. I really like the player and also like what the Giants are doing in this scenario. They are filling a need. They're making sure that they protect the franchise quarterback and Daniel Jones, and they're also getting someone that can pave holes for Saquon Barkley. Tristan Wirfs, to me, is big, athletic. He's well-schooled, having played at Iowa under Kirk Ferentz. I think this is a terrific pick for the New York Giants.
The challenge, Buck, is that their defense stinks, and they could get some help on all 3 levels of their defense, which they sorely need. But I think when it's all said and done, they have to protect Daniel Jones. This team and this organization is going to go as far as he can carry them. And Colleen, they've got to get better up front. Nate Solder, that has not been a good investment. Tristan Wirfs can play either side. I think this is a pick that's made with the quarterback in mind.
Yeah, the Giants, they allowed the 3rd most quarterback hits last season. So, yes, they do have to protect Daniel Jones. But moving on back to actually the top 8, I'm not done with it quite yet because, look, you have Chase Young and Jeffrey Okudah going 2 and 3. But we got to talk about this Dolphins pick here with the curveball from DJ. They take Justin Herbert as the 2nd quarterback off the board.
Justin Herbert just put that on a rope.
That was a big league throw by Justin Herbert.
Herbert making some moves.
That pass is a beauty, threading the needle. Herbert fires. Touchdown!
So, DJ, why Justin Herbert over Tua? Is it just the safer pick for the Dolphins?
Well, I think it's an interesting discussion that they're going to have inside that building. And when you talk to folks around the league, they believe that it's very split there with the Miami Dolphins, that there are some Tua supporters as well as some Herbert supporters. And the thing that gives Herbert a leg up, in my opinion, is the fact that he's fully healthy. He went through the process. You got to see him in the fall at the Senior Bowl, got to see him at the Combine, and even, Buck, we got to see him at the Pro Day. And at that Pro Day, the Dolphins were well represented. So I have Tua as a better football player. I know you do too, Buck, but I could definitely see Justin Herbert being the pick here.
Yeah, I absolutely can see him being the pick, and I can see him being the pick because Chris Greer said it in the Bill Parcells during his formative years as a scout. Bill Parcells always wanted very experienced college quarterbacks as they came into the league. 4-year starter at Oregon, led Oregon back, and orchestrated a nice turnaround when they went from sub 500 to being the Rose Bowl champs. And then when you think about a big athletic quarterback who has arm talent, he has speed, and he has the intelligence that you look for at the position, I think Justin Herbert definitely can be the pick if there's some concerns about Tua and his durability.
So that seems to work out pretty well for the Chargers, who get to stay at 6. They still get Tua. So what do you like about that fit, DJ?
Well, I don't like it, Colleen. I love it. I mean, this is a dream scenario for the Chargers, and that they get their signal caller going forward, and somebody that's going to bring a lot of life and a lot of energy into this team. A brand new era here for the Chargers as they go into that new stadium, Buck. And Tua, with the weapons he has around him, the ability to sit for a while if he needs to, because you know Anthony Lynn loves Tyrod Taylor, and give him a little bit more time to get healthy. I think this is a perfect fit in every way.
Yeah, I do believe it is a perfect fit because you're right. Tua Tagovailoa's personality fits into that locker room. His arm talent would add a dimension to that offense. You talk about the weapons that are already on the perimeter. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, Austin Eckler. It is tailor-made for a young quarterback to go out there and deal. I think Tua Tagovailoa will be able to deal like a Vegas dealer if he had that opportunity in LA.
So the Chargers, they get Tua, a new stadium, and they managed to plan for their future without mortgaging it. And speaking of Tua, he's headlining Move the Sticks 360. That's coming up Thursday, April 16th. DJ and Bucky will do a serious deep dive on the Alabama quarterback, and they catch up with his quarterback coach and Super Bowl champ, Trent Dilfer.
Lamb makes a guy miss. What he does best is what he does after the catch. He is a big-time playmaker, one of the best receivers in all of America. And here goes Lamb across midfield, and he will go the distance.
Back here on Mock Draft Live, we got picks 9 through 16, and okay, we got 3 straight receivers off the board. CeeDee Lamb starts the run, going to the Jets at 11. So DJ, the Jets get some help there for Sam Darnold, but why CeeDee specifically?
Well, I think with CeeDee Lamb, for me, it's what he can do after the catch. And with Sam Darnold being able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, get it into his hands, let him make people miss, let him create. And then also, you get down in the red zone, you've got to find a way to finish drives. And I like CeeDee Lamb's ability to kind of play above the rim and be that pure number 1 wide receiver. So let's give Sam Darnold some help on the outside.
I love the pick, DJ. I think CeeDee Lamb is a little DeAndre Hopkins plus, meaning he can do all of those contested catches. He can come down with the jump balls in the red zone, but he's explosive with the ball in his hands. For Sam Darnold, that's someone he needs, someone that he can just toss it out to, and they can give him the kind of production and playmaking that he's desperately needed the past 2 years.
And they could use it, especially after losing Robbie Anderson. So, Bucky, I want to jump down, though, to number 13 because the Niners, that's their first pick, though, of 2 in the first round. They go with Henry Ruggs there at 13 to get some bodies back in the building at the receiver position. So how do you feel about that pick?
Oh, I like the pick because when I look at this offense, the one thing that they're missing is a vertical stretch playmaker. Henry Ruggs is that and then some. Henry Ruggs, obviously, 4.2 speed on the outside, tough as nails, does a great job with the ball in his hands, also gives you special teams contributions. When you look at the way this wide receiver core was beginning to emerge with Deebo Samuels leading the way, I think Henry Ruggs comes in and complements Deebo on the outside, and I think it helps this passing game improve with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm.
Buck, can you imagine if you saw Ruggs on some of those stretch boots in Kyle Shanahan's system where he's got an ability to run all the way across the field? Colleen, it's going to be like watching a speedboat run away from a canoe. It's going to be unbelievable to watch him in that offense. That's why I'm hoping that it happens.
I'm excited for that, especially with Emmanuel Sanders gone. But listen, we're not done with 9 through 16 yet. Let's talk about a team that just revamped that quarterback position.
Ready? Yep. Let's go. Yeah, let's go! We're gonna fight! We're gonna lay down! Hey, let's go put the nail in the coffin, huh?
Tom pumps. He throws down the middle for Gronkowski. Somehow makes the catch.
Unbelievable. How the did you catch that?
Quick throw. And it's good. Intercepted.
We did it, Josh! We did it!
So the Bucs, they land Tom Brady, and DJ, it feels like a really good idea here to draft someone to protect him.
Yeah, we've talked so much about his ability to get the ball out to Mike Evans and Godwin and all the playmakers they have. Offensive line-wise, good in the interior, but I think they could use a right tackle, and that's why Andrew Thomas from Georgia makes a lot of sense to plug him into that spot, give Brady a nice wall in front of him. Tom does some unbelievable things, Buck, but what he's not is mobile. He's not going to be able to get away from a lot of pressure, so firm up that protection.
You absolutely want to firm up that protection. You want to make sure that Tom Brady has a fortress in front of him. And not only because they want to pass the ball and push it down the field, but also they need to run the ball. They want to protect Tom Brady. Well, the best way to do it is to get you a guy on the edge who not only excels in pass protection, but does a good job of moving the furniture in the running game.
All right, so the Bucs, they fill in that glaring weakness there at right tackle. So now let's move on to pick 17 through 24. And that's where Tom Brady's old team is picking. A lot of defensive guys off the board here, including one to the Patriots, defensive end A.J. Epinesa. So DJ Epinesa can hopefully offset some of those losses that the Patriots endured during free agency. Is that the thinking here?
Yeah, that's the thinking. And why the player? Because you think about the connection with Kirk Ferentz and his relationship having worked for Bill Belichick. You know he's going to get the goods on A.J. Epinesa. And Buck, when we went back and looked at some of those old Belichick scouting notes I was able to find during this quarantine, you find some interesting things when you're cleaning out closets and drawers. And Belichick talked about wanting more size over speed on the edge, and that's A.J. Epinesa.
Yeah, A.J. Epinesa certainly fits the profile. Hard-working player, hard-heading a lunch pail guy, a guy who has great hand skills and is very, very productive. If you're the New England Patriots, you just want to replace the guys that have departed with solid guys that are going to come in and give you a good day's work. A.J. Epinesa is going to do that, and he's going to do it very, very well in New England.
So Bucky, sure, he's a super talented player, but is defensive end the best pick in the first round for the Patriots, or should they consider taking a quarterback there?
No, I think this is a situation where it's Jarrett Stidham versus a veteran. I don't think there's a young guy that the Patriots could see and say, hey, we want to bring him in to compete with Jarrett Stidham. I think they're very, very confident in what Jarrett Stidham displayed a season ago, and I think they want to go that route. To me, I think for the Patriots, it is all about getting really good players. We've seen that they can outcoach any other team in the league. They just need just enough ammunition, and Bill Belichick will find a way to continue to get them to the winner's circle.
And I also would add one little thing there, Buck, is that the Patriots, if I recall correctly, I think they have some luck picking a quarterback later in the draft. I don't know. He's not there anymore. I forgot who he was. But they've had some good fortune waiting on the quarterback.
This is true. I just can't recall who exactly you were talking about there, DJ.
Yeah, his name escapes
We'll
me.
figure it out later.
Matt Castle, maybe? Matt Castle?
Maybe that was it. All right, we got 8 more picks to reveal here. Here we have the final picks of DJ's first round. Heavy on the offensive side of the ball. Linebacker Zach Bond to the Ravens and defensive tackle Ross Blacklock to the Niners are the only defensive players in that final frame. But DJ, let's focus specifically here on the NFC North and the Vikings taking T. Higgins with that original selection at 25.
Well, look, we know they haven't needed the position. When you trade Stephon Diggs, I think part of the reason they did that was because they knew the depth of this receiver class. And T. Higgins gives them a little something different, gives them some size, gives them somebody in the red zone that can really go up and make plays and score points. Now, he's a little bit of a problem against press, Buck, when you watched him against some of the better opponents later in the season. But I think the upside is there. And again, just give him a little more rangy, a little longer player at the position.
Yeah, he gives them a big-time playmaker at the position. And I think this is going to surprise people because people talk about his speed. But at his pro day, he timed the same time that DeAndre Hopkins did, and he scored 27 touchdowns at Clemson, just like DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not saying he's Nuke Hopkins, but I'm saying he's an underrated player, a player that I think the Minnesota Vikings can tap into and get a quality playmaker.
All right, so another weapon there for Kirk Cousins, who just signed that extension to stay in Minnesota. But what really jumped out to me was the pick there at 30. Jordan Love to the Packers. Is this 2005 all over again, DJ? What's up?
Yeah, history repeating itself, Colleen. You just have a situation where a very talented player kind of falls down in their neighborhood. Now, they might have to trade up. There could be some competition for other teams trying to trade up to get him. But if he's within range, it makes too much sense. With where Aaron Rodgers is, still playing at a high level, he could buy you some time with Jordan Love, who, Buck, we rave about the tools he possesses, but he needs patience. He needs time to develop, and the Packers know the blueprint better than anybody else. Draft a premier talent and take your time.
Yeah, take your time. And this is something that Brian Gutekunst has talked about doing, looking at the quarterback market, trying to get a young quarterback to eventually succeed Aaron Rodgers when he eventually retires. And so why not take a talented guy in Jordan Love, let him sit behind one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it, And in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you might have your starting quarterback right there, and you may not skip a beat in Green Bay.
Well, he would be the first quarterback drafted out of Utah State since 1989. It's been a minute there. But, guys, look, since we are now kind of through the first round here of DJ's mock, do you guys want to, like, draft the next 6 rounds? I mean, you got time, right? Like, what do you, what do you think?
It's no big deal. It's no big deal. 6 rounds? Yeah,
That's
Bucky
great.
can do that, no problem. It's at Bucky Bill. Find him on Twitter. He'll tweet the whole thing out.
All right, but seriously, I do want to get a couple sleepers here for round 2. Who should we look forward to there, DJ?
Well, I'm going to go Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois, a safety who some teams view as a will linebacker, who's 6'3", ran in the mid-4.4s, a tremendous athlete who also happens to have a bunch of production. He's somebody that's climbing his way up, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he ended up in the first round when it's all said and done, Buck.
You know, DJ, if you can't get Isaiah Simmons, I'm saying Jeremy Chin is the next one that you should target. He is a Swiss Army knife, lots of versatility and explosiveness in his game.
And another sleeper I'll give you here, let's go wide receiver Michael Pittman from USC, who in a normal year might have a chance to be a first-round pick. He'll be a second-round pick in all likelihood this year. Somebody who we've seen win those 50-50 balls, especially against Utah. As you're watching that game, he dominated the football game. But also what he can do after the catch, Buck. This guy has a father that was a running back, and you see some of those skills when the ball's in his hands.
Tough, fast, physical. He's a selfless guy. You can tell it. You can tell that he's willing to be a team guy because he played on special teams. If you get an opportunity to get Michael Pittman in the second or third round, you got to jump up and hand the card. This is a guy that's going to contribute in a number of different ways for his NFL franchise.
Well, let me give you a bonus one here. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball, and let's go Harrison Bryant from Florida Atlantic as the tight end. Somebody who I think is probably in that second, third round range. It's not a great year for the tight end class, but this kid can really get down the seam. He's explosive. He's another one after the catch. He can make you miss. He'll break tackles. Thought he had a really good week down in Mobile at the Reese's Senior Bowl, Buck, and to me, I think it's going to be an excellent day 2 pick.
He will be an excellent day 2 pick. Reminds me a lot of Zach Ertz. His versatility, his ability to play in the slot or split out wide is going to create problems for the defense. He is a mismatch problem for the offense. I think a creative offensive coordinator will love having Harrison Bryant.
A guy who played football, baseball, and basketball in high school. You love to see it, the multi-sport athletes there. So here's a full recap of DJ's Mock 3.0. 3 quarterbacks in the first 8. Herbert going before Tua to the Dolphins. The Giants and Cardinals drafting some O-line help for their young quarterbacks, going Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills. Then 9 through 16, DJ has the Browns taking Isaiah Simmons to use all over that defense. And the Bama wide receivers go off the board in back-to-back picks to the Raiders and the Niners. Picks 17 through 24, we see the Raiders and the Vikings drafting secondary help with A.J. Terrell and Jalen Johnson. Again, no quarterback for the Patriots in round 1, instead opting for a defensive end. And then finally, picks 25 through 32, the Seahawks select 20-year-old offensive tackle Austin Jackson out of USC. The Packers, they get a quarterback, and the Chiefs take a guard, Cesar Ruiz, young man from Camden, New Jersey, with the final pick. All right, before we get out of here, DJ, since this has been your day with your new Mock 3.0, let me get a bold prediction for the draft.
Well, that's a bold prediction. I don't like it because I have no running backs going in the first round. So that, I guess, makes it a bold prediction. But I think there's one worth the first-round pick. That's DeAndre Swift. Buck, I think DeAndre Swift is a first-round player. I just think there's so much depth at the position that might push all these guys down.
Yeah, it could push all of the running backs down, but also, DJ, when you think about the teams, there are only a handful of teams that need a running back. I think about Miami, who has multiple picks, but they're right there. If they don't take one in the 20s, where do they go? I think this is a year where we can see teams saying, hey, we're going to wait till the second and third round. We're going to get a starting running back, and we're fine not spending a first-round pick on one.
Well, I got to tell you both, this has been a lot of fun enjoying this time with you between my 8th and 9th meals of the day. I've really enjoyed it.
All right, well, listen, I'm going to let you go so you can go have another meal. And everybody out there can do the same thing. This has been super fun. And guess what? We're going to do it all again next week. Bucky Brooks will have a brand new Mock 4.0. Until then, everybody, mock safely.